Tiger Nation, LSU fans, and college football fans, what is up, guys? We officially had a night to rest on this, to sleep on it, to refocus ourselves after what transpired last night. Listen, let me get to the takeaways before I answer the question and the reason why you're on this video. Will LSU bounce back? Here are the takeaways. Yes, LSU's defensive backs played relatively bad. Chestnut got torched all game. Ty Alexander, in my opinion, I don't really think he played that bad. Greg Brooks, he's a senior, or he's a sixth-year senior, I believe. Kind of was a letdown. Major Burns as well. The DBs just didn't play well at all, but particularly at cornerback, especially Deuce Chestnut. Man, he gave up over 180 yards through the air. In his coverage, I mean. But running backs, hit or miss there. I think that was mainly on the play calling, but offensive line was just absolutely atrocious. And wide receiver drops, man. A lot of drops in this game. LSU just wasn't ready to play, it felt like. But the biggest takeaway, in my opinion, was the fact that you got outmatched. Florida State looked not only like the better team, but they played more physical. They swarmed to the ball. They were angry defensively. And LSU had no response, especially in the second half, on both sides of the ball. Being outmatched after last season is inexcusable. LSU should have been miles better than last season, especially on the offensive line. I understand, offensive line was a little bit of a question mark coming into this game, but not that right side of the offensive line. Man, I don't understand it. After last year, I thought that you would have more depth, especially at right guard. No, you don't. And then I'll get to Florida State's defensive line, which is insane, in a second here. But wide receiver drops, miscues, and then obviously DBs. We all knew coming into this season, LSU's DBs were going to be a huge question mark. Denver Harris, I didn't really think he was going to play a lot this year. Maybe he will after his suspension and whatever. But LSU as a whole just looked like they were completely way worse than Florida State, and that doesn't sit well with me. Like I said, LSU should have been a much better team this season. Last year, the Florida State game, I believed it was a fluke. A lot of people believed it was a fluke. You had two muffed punts. You had wide receivers running different routes. You came out looking flat. You were down by 2 scores all game, and then you started coming back, and then the blocked extra point at the end. To me, it just felt like a fluke. LSU was able to bounce back after that. Slowly, though. It took them about 6 weeks to find their identity. After that loss to Tennessee, that's when things started to click. You should not be, in my opinion, LSU fans, you should not be this bad heading into week 2. Week 2, you have a cupcake game, then you play at Mississippi State. Just being honest with you, Mississippi State's defensive line, although it's not as good as Florida State's, it's still going to be pretty good. Now, Kalen DeLoach, Fisk, and really, man, Jared Verse, they were monsters yesterday. They were just more physical. They wanted it more. And yeah, we saw a lot of lack of discipline plays by Florida State's defense, but they would always respond. That wasn't the case yesterday with LSU. Now, I already did takeaways yesterday. Let's answer this question. Will LSU bounce back and get to where they want to get? Breaking news, the SEC West is going to be the best division in college football. Now, there really isn't many divisions anymore. It's actually only 2, SEC and Big Ten. Clearly, the SEC West looks better than both of them. The Pac-12 might be the best conference. That's not even a hot take. Just watch the Pac-12. Watch their top 7 teams play. But the SEC West looking really strong, and teams like Auburn and Texas A&M, who were horrible last year, they look a lot better this year. And I get it's only week 1, but particularly Texas A&M, that offensive play calling was dang near perfect. against New Mexico. Again, it was against New Mexico, but they play at Miami coming up here. That Texas A&M team, I'm telling you, they're going to be for real. Ole Miss, you got them coming up in a couple weeks. Missouri, I believe, is before Ole Miss, or maybe it's after. Missouri doesn't look like that good of a team, but still, it's on the road. Back-to-back road games, going to be brutal. And then, you know, later on in the season at Alabama, you got Arkansas, who looks better defensively. Bama, like I said, at Alabama. They're going to be hungry for that win. They lost you last year. That's going to be a really tough game. Their defensive line might even be better than Florida State's. I don't think that's a hot take. But I do believe LSU will bounce back. Now, is LSU going to get where they want to get? They would have to go 12-0. That means 11-0 regular season, winning in the SEC title game. Everything would have to be perfect. In my opinion, and I'm sorry, LSU fans, for saying this, I'm just going to be completely honest. There's a lot to fix in a short period of time for you to go 12-0. Now, Florida State might be the best team that you play all year. I don't think that's true. I think Alabama can be better. And if Georgia's in the SEC title game, I think Georgia's going to be better. But that could somehow be true. And maybe LSU's a lot better. Maybe just Florida State's just that good. Again, it's week 1. But maybe LSU's a lot better than what people think now after getting humiliated by Florida State. I just don't, in my opinion, it's almost impossible for LSU to win out now. The games are going to be a lot tougher in more stretches. Now, again, Florida State's probably the best or second best team that you'll play all year, maybe even the third, depending on Alabama, what they do next week against Texas. Spoiler alert, I think Alabama's going to win that game. But hey, Texas to me just looked like they were sleepwalking against Rice. But anyway, that doesn't really matter. Alabama with Jalen Milroe, looks like they're going to do it looks like they're running kind of a similar offense like they did with Jalen Hurts. We all know how that worked out. Bama was just able to win games, get by, especially in 2017. That was, his last year. Get by in these road environments like against LSU and Mississippi State, where they won 10-0 and then 35-28, something like that. But that's gonna be Alabama's team this year. But I love that front. I love that defense for Alabama. They might have the best defense in the nation. And then you can't forget Texas A&M. Listen, I understand LSU is undefeated at home against Texas A&M, but Jimbo Fisher has his team. I'm telling you, Connor Wegman is legit. He is going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. That offensive line looks miles better, but and those wide receivers look insane. Noah Thomas has come out of nowhere, literally. Just go back and watch Evans. And I forgot to say Evan Stewart, obviously. I mean, he's elite already. Evan Stewart, Noah Thomas, both of those two on the outside look absolutely insane at wide receiver for Texas A&M. That's going to be a tough game. Now, before the season, I would 1,000% feel confident LSU would win that game. Not anymore, especially with all these question marks with LSU. Now, I do think LSU is going to finish the year stronger than how they started. That's kind of obvious. That's Brian Kelly for you. He is a exceptional head coach. He's going to get LSU to 8 or 9 wins. I know there are LSU fans that are still hopeful for 10-2 or even 11-1. I think 11-1 might be out the window because of that stretch of games where you have it early in the season at Mississippi State. Then you have a cupcake, I believe. I really should have looked at the schedule. That's on me. Then a cupcake, then at Mizzou, then at Ole Miss, or maybe at Ole Miss, then at Mizzou. That's going to be tough. Ole Miss might beat you. And then, even the Army game. Listen, with the new rules of college football about the clock, these triple option teams are going to have the ball the entire game. So that doesn't, Army is a decent team, but they will have the ball the entire game. Look out for that. And then Arkansas, Alabama finish the year home game against Texas A&M. I think 9-3 is definitely a possibility. I didn't even say Florida. I think Florida is going to be really, really bad. But I think LSU will bounce back, but not have the season that the fans expecting, even me expecting. I had LSU in the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen this year. So, can LSU still win the SEC West? Of course. They did it last year, but the SEC West looks stronger than last year. It's going to be a gauntlet yet again, and the winner of the SEC West will probably be, will definitely have a loss, at least one, in SEC play. So, LSU fans, hopefully things get a little bit better, and I think they will. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think LSU is going to come out firing on all cylinders, go 11-0, then beat UGA or Tennessee or whoever? I mean, that would be a shock if anyone other than Georgia or Tennessee is in Atlanta. Do you think LSU is going to go 11-0, make it to the playoffs at 12-1 by winning the SEC, or do you think it's going to be kind of like last year where it comes slowly and then comes on later, midway through the season? Or do you think LSU is just going to have a struggle-something year where they finish 8-4? Let us know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.